At the beginning of the show, right at the beginning of the show, am I right? I was back there hearing you describe me as quirky.
Yes.
What do you mean quirk? What's that? That's the first time I can honestly say in my 15 years in show business that
Yes.
15.
You have a query? Funny woman. No, I don't know what you mean by quirky.
Quirky is offbeat, unusual, unique, in fact.
Oh.
Was your talent obvious from the start?
I first went actually on the stage. I trod the boards, as it were, when I was 13. I was a Sunday school teacher. Don't you see it glowing? Yes, I was a Sunday school teacher, and I was in the Church Dramatic Society, and I played a part. I used to stutter a lot in those days. Okay, I was a very frightened boy. And they were very kind, and they gave me a part in this play. It was called Tilly of Bloomsbury, an old play. And then after that, the local press gave me a good press, and the church warden came to me, and he said to me, Frank, you should be an actor. And I thought, God had spoken, because in those words, he was representing God as far as I was concerned.
Well, you intended to be an actor.
No, she doesn't.
A great actor, you wanted
Yes,
to
I was. Oh, certainly, yes. I went in for a scholarship at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. RADA. And then I got up to do my pieces, and then there's a gymnasium, and there was a board of governors, or whatever they were, sitting at the back, this cold, grey Monday. And then I got up, and I did it, and there was a whole lot of young chaps there, and there's me going, blah, 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 blah. And I did some Shakespeare. I mean, for real. And I did To Be or Not to Be. To be or not to be. That should have been how I did it. By the time I finished, blah, blah, blah. Dawn was breaking. So I went away, and I went away, and I was just like Wuthering Heights, because where I lived, near where I lived, were a lot of fields, and I went up to these fields, and I sat down and cried for an hour in this pouring rain, and I suddenly thought to myself, this is ridiculous. This is no good. You're not meant to be an actor. You're meant to be something, a comedian. So I sort of went from there, like left-handed to right-handed. Because I used to go to the music halls a lot and saw great comedians like Sid Field, remember, and Max Miller, and all great artists and great comics. And so I had this sort of kind of split personality. One to be an actor, a straight actor, and the other for this comedy.
Let me talk about your comedy, the comedy classics like the Carry On films and that Pompeii, etc. That they have always been full of innuendo. That is your speciality.
I wouldn't. No, what do you mean innuendo? What do you mean vulgarity?
Subtle hints at filth. Now, innuendo is one thing. Outrage, of course, is another. What do you think of the alternative comedians of today?
There have always been alternative comedians. It's nothing new to have a sort of a different, something a bit different. It's a use of language, a use of subject matter, shall we say. It's a bit different, a bit further, if you like to put it, or back, depends on which way you look at it. But, as I said before, the first alternative comedian I ever saw was Max Miller. He was considered outrageous in those days on the music hall. After him, well, actually, when we first started, there was several of us were considered alternative comedians because we were a bit sort of way out. People thought then. Then it went on, the Goons came in, they were a bit different. Then there was Monty Python. And then, do you remember David Frost? And that was look at all and you know, so I don't think it's anything new, particularly, to be an alternative comedian. And when this generation of alternative comedians goes, something else will come along. And they'll be saying, what do you think of the alternative comedians of today?
Your parties were famous. Were you, when you threw the parties, the life and soul, or just the gentle host?
I'm like you. The gentle host. As you say, you're not allowed to give an opinion because you're the host. And the host is supposed to be good-mannered, supposed to be, reticent, hospitable.
Your mum was the feature of these parties, wasn't she?
Well, she was a she was a very quiet lady, and she used to enjoy being there, but she used to enjoy most of all doing the washing up, oddly enough. She was not one for sort of, if you can use the expression, showing off. She just liked to do the washing up and be there and look after everybody. And I remember Richard Burton was very fond of my mother, and amongst others, and I went to see him in a play called Equus in New York. Anyway, so I was doing it. It was not all that long ago. It was when I was doing a series in Canada, television. And I went down to New York, and it was my birthday, and I went to see him and doing this play, and he took me out with his then wife, which was a lady named Susan Hunt. And he told me, first of all, he told me two things, which aren't riveting, but I'll tell you. Well, the first thing he asked me was how my mother was. He said, "How was your mother?" But of course she wasn't alive then. But the second thing he told me was, and I'm sure you'll understand this, that because I happened to be in the audience, he said, "I've never been so frightened all my life to perform." Yeah. If there's some other actor or comedian or someone like that you very much admire, if they're sitting in the audience, it's, I don't know what it is, but one's more frightened than of anybody else.